What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Crypto and Coffee. Actually, I almost called it Crypto and Bourbon, Crypto and Whiskey, Crypto and Side Night after this week. It's been rough. It's been rough on not only you, but on me and everyone that's in cryptocurrency for the most part. And while it hurts short term, it's best long term. And I'm going to tell you why. The move that we had with Bitcoin in December was unsustainable. Bitcoin went from roughly 8,500 up to 19.5 thousand. While the move short term was good for your pocket, long term, you can't continue at that pace. It's just not sustainable. So it's really important that we had this pullback because ultimately it will lead to a much stronger base for our next bull rally with Bitcoin. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the bull rally that I think is going to happen in the next few weeks. And I want to talk about some other strategies with altcoins that you can start to plan so that you're taking maximum advantage of the next Bitcoin rally. So let's jump in. So first thing I want to do is I want to show you this chart. Those of you who don't use TradingView, please get signed up there. It's free. I'm pitching it, but they're not paying me. It's that good. So TradingView is just a charting platform website. It's pretty comprehensive, and if you even use the paid version, you can set up alerts, emails, texts to kind of let you know when things are happening. Very valuable. So what we're looking at right here is a linear chart of Bitcoin. And obviously, right away, your attention goes right towards what happened between mid-November and middle of January here. Obviously, it's just takes up the whole screen. Now, while this move was pretty large in dollar terms, it wasn't something abnormal in percentage terms. And let me show you another way to look at this. If you've never used this right down here, log. Log is a logarithmic scale. So let's take a look. Well, that looks much better. Basically, log lets you view things in terms of percentage rather than on a linear basis. So right here, on the right-hand side, these are all $1,000 increments. You'll notice that changes on the log scale. Now let's take a look at some of the other big pullbacks and corrections that we've had with Bitcoin over the last year. And it looks like we had 1, 2, 3, 4. So our first one being right here, second one right there, third one, and fourth one. So that's once a quarter that we're getting these 35 to 50% pullbacks. And every single time we've come out of it much stronger and had ultimately a pretty sizable rally. So many times, like when people ask me, well, how do you know? Well, if you have been part of cryptocurrency for a long time, you start to see patterns. And there's market cycles that continually happen. Now, can I be sure it's going to happen again? No. Do I know if the status quo has changed? You don't know until it's changed. But we're going to use information, past information, to make future predictions. And that's the only thing we can do. We don't have a crystal ball. We don't have a way to see the future. But what we can do is learn from these 3 previous pullbacks as to what to expect with Bitcoin over the next few weeks, few months. So let's talk about some strategies, right? All right, so let's zoom in a little bit here. And those of you, I'm going to go back to the linear scale here. All right, so those of you who have been following along in the premium group have heard me talk about the importance of a few numbers. So when Bitcoin's moving up, we have various supports and resistances. Now, if you're at an all-time high, you don't have any resistance. But as you start moving back down, those previous areas of resistance become support, and so on and so forth. But once you reach the bottom, now you're going to have to go through those levels of support as resistance. So I'm going to tell you one of my strategies here, how to add a few extra percentage points to your Bitcoin stack on the way back up. All right, so one key number that's coming up, one key level, is right around 12,500. So you see a lot of things bouncing off here. So here, let's draw a line so it's a little more clear. I'll use this big blue line here. Okay. Now when you're drawing lines in TradingView, if you hold down Shift, it makes that line straight. All right. So I'm gonna move it up just a little bit. So we'll call it 12,700. And this will vary depending on if you're in a 30-minute chart. There you go. This hour chart's actually a pretty good one here. So that was a pretty strong support. So you notice right here we had 3 tests, ultimately bounced off and went back up to 17.2. Right here another 2 tests, and then right here it broke. So this has been a pretty significant level for us over the last month. Now, on the way back up, I expect this to be a pretty significant area of resistance. Typically, areas, levels that are very important like this don't just break. It would take like a big news event or something to come out for this to shoot right through. If it ever does, get on board. But typically what you're going to see is you're going to see Bitcoin start to test it. A few times here and there, fail, come back, momentum, fail, come back, and eventually it's going to get through. Now, this gives us an opportunity to level up our Bitcoin stack, and let me show you how. So at some point, we're going to get back and we're going to test this area of resistance. This would be a good spot to sell. Take 25% of your Bitcoin stack and sell to USDT, USD, and then wait for it to retrace a little bit. So typically you're gonna hit it. So this is your resistance, right? So we're coming up, bounce off, right? Buy back down here, come back up, bounce. Maybe you don't bounce as low, you buy there. Eventually it's going to get through, but until it gets through, you can use this to basically swing trade a little bit. So here's another example. So a lot of people will say, like, let's say this is 12,500. Right here we have 12,400, and you have 12,600 up here. I'd much rather buy 12,600 than 12,400. Sure, it's $200 cheaper, but you're going to keep running into this resistance and bouncing back down. But when you get through, the next resistance is all the way up here. Odds are we're probably going to go test that. So if it gets through, I'm a buyer. But if it's right below, I'm not a buyer yet. I'm a seller. So this is one good strategy to how to increase your Bitcoin stack on the way up. So take 25% of your stack, sell it right before resistance, and don't use the exact resistance. If everyone's doing the same thing, now you get into game theory, everyone's doing the same thing, then people start moving it lower and lower and lower, and the resistance kind of is not always the exact same point, right? So let's say your resistance is, in this case, it's like 12.7 on Coinbase. So move it to 12.5, 12.6, 12.4, whatever. So you bounce off, you sell 25%, come back down here, it's let's say 11.8, 12,000, buy. It's not a ton, but it's a few percentage points. And if you do that a few times, all of a sudden Bitcoin's rallying and you have 10, 15, 20% more Bitcoin than you did at the bottom. So a couple areas that I'm looking at to do this is the first one that's coming up is going to be this 12.5, 12.7, depending on what exchange you're on, that area. So I'm going to take a little off the table and then reload. A little off the table, then reload. First two times, most likely it's not going to get through, but eventually it will. If it gets through and you've taken that off the table, just get right back in. It doesn't matter. Maybe you've lost a little bit, but ultimately it should even out, and you should still be the best of it if you've done it a few times, right? If you've kind of sold resistance and bought lower, sold resistance, bought lower, gets through, you buy, you should still be net positive there. So 12.5, 12.7 is number one. The next area that I'm looking to do kind of this is, I believe it was 14.5. 14.5 is the next area that I'm going to likely do this. And let me draw you another line here. When I'm drawing these lines, I'm just looking for areas where Bitcoin bounced, right? So we got it right. That's not accurate, but we'll draw the line and then we'll adjust, right? Right in there, okay? So when I'm drawing these lines, like I see a bounce here, I see a bounce there, I see a bounce there. You see a big move through. That's another indication that you have an area of resistance. When things move through resistance, they move quick. So this is an indicator right here. This is another indicator right there. So is this right here. So all of these are indicators that you can look for. So when I'm drawing these resistance lines, I'm looking for how did the price react when it hit this amount? Or how did the chart react? So it came here, it bounced off, right? That's resistance. It came here, it shot through. Okay, that's definitely a resistance. Then we have a lot of key factors that go into making this an important level. So again, I'm going to do the same thing here. In this right here, these blue lines that I'm setting up, let me make them a little prettier for you here. All right. This is going to be the next range that I think Bitcoin is going to trade in. It may not be exact, but it's somewhere between 12.5 and 14.5. I expect that to be an area that we trade in for a little bit, and that's a great opportunity to swing trade. Just buy the lows and sell the highs over and over again until it breaks. It's that simple. So that's my strategy with Bitcoin, right? We're going to stack it up a little bit. We're going to make some moves, try to add maybe 10, 15% on the way up. It's a lot, guys. It adds up very quickly. So that's Bitcoin strategy. But what about altcoins? Those of you who are in the premium channel have heard me talk about, you need to get to Bitcoin. Altcoins are going to get hammered when Bitcoin rallies. So my timing has been off a little bit with that, but ultimately this will happen. I can't say for sure that I know it will, but like I said previously, using past information to make future decisions is basically technical analysis, right? So that's what we're doing here. Sorry, alert just went off for Ripple here. So what to do with altcoins? When Bitcoin does start to rally, you're going to see altcoins bleed quite heavily. It happens every single time. Altcoins do not do well when Bitcoin's rallying for the simple reason money is starting to flow back to Bitcoin. And if you look at a previous bull rally, I'm going to pull up Ethereum. Ethereum is a monster, #2 market cap. But from June to December, Bitcoin, let's see, what was the price of Bitcoin in June? I want to say like 1,800 or something like that. So Bitcoin in June was, I think low was 1,900, 1,800, somewhere around there. Bitcoin went from 1,800 to 19.5, and in the same period of time, you saw Ethereum go from 0.156 all the way down to 0.023 in terms of Bitcoin. So even the #2 strongest cryptocurrency in the world is susceptible to Bitcoin rallies. So I don't care if you have Verge, Tron, Icon, ELF, whatever these new cryptocurrencies that are coming out are. Ultimately, they're not going to typically outperform Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean you can't trade them. If you're going to trade them, this is how you trade them. You still look for your typical setups, but you want higher EV when you do this because there's more risk. So you want the setup to be a little better. You want to get in the trade a little earlier. You want to get out a little earlier. That way, you're not leaving positions on, and Bitcoin all of a sudden, takes off, and you're left holding your bag. So get quicker trades, in and out, in and out. Then also make sure you have stop losses on at all times. With the recent alt rally, it really didn't matter. Everything just went up, but it's going to change. So make sure you're very diligent. Before you get into trade, know when you're going to get out. Okay, this is my stop loss, this is my target. Because we want to make the trade a little quicker, let's move the target down a little bit more and just be happy. Just a little bit here, a little bit there. So you get the Bitcoin side, you're stacking up a little bit. Maybe you get a little 10, 15% on top of your stack. On the altcoin side, you're trading in and out. You're making 5, 10, 20% on your altcoin trades. It all adds up. So just to recap here, guys. Can't predict the future. I don't know when or if Bitcoin's going to rally, but I can tell you this isn't the first time we've seen this. I want you to look at this chart. We've seen this before, and while it hurts short term, it's ultimately a really good indicator of what's to come. So over the next week, 2, maybe up to 2 months, it's going to happen. Bitcoin will most likely, barring a black swan event or something unforeseen, we're going to see a rally. Now, I know a lot of you are in love with your altcoins. I hear it every day, and I'm definitely on the other side of the fence here. I trade altcoins to get more Bitcoin. I know a lot of you believe in a lot of these new technologies that are coming out. It's better than Bitcoin, better technology. You know what? You're probably right. It is better technology. But the whole ecosystem is built on Bitcoin. Bitcoin's blockchain has been tested, has more proof of work, a longer chain than any other in cryptocurrency. And while that may not mean much to you, it means everything. So I want to remind you, Bitcoin is Big Daddy, and it's coming for you. Get ready. See you soon, guys.